TikTok, and welcome to another of our live stream Q&A Ask Me Anything hangout sessions, where we come and join you every single Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on our brand new TikTok. Is giving me some updates on the screen right now, but I'm really excited to see. Oh my goodness. Wow, they're giving us lots of cool things today. Hey, hello, welcome. As I was jumping in and introducing what we were doing, they gave me some new performance integration. So I was just looking at TikTok's new platform additions. That's cool. Hi and welcome. Let me know where you're joining me from. It's today's Q&A Ask Me Anything hangout session, where we're answering your questions in real time. I want to hear from you guys. I'm going to be crocheting while we're talking today, but let's ask the questions. You can ask me anything about my books, my characters, my author life, my publishing journey, the publishing industry. We can talk about the hat I'm wearing or my favorite colors. It is up to you. I will answer anything within reason while we're here hanging out today. And I am going to be working on a little piece for like a costumey type thing. So you guys know last time we were chatting. Oh no, it's falling. The last time we were chatting, I was making a Tafiti wig for my niece for Halloween, and it turned out really, really cool. And she thinks it looks interesting when I wear it, but I didn't do that right. She thinks it looks interesting when I wear it, but she doesn't want to wear it. So I'm gonna use it, but I just have this feeling that if I don't make a second one, she's gonna be like, yes, actually I do want to wear that, or I want to rip it to pieces because she's 2 years old. And so I'm making a backup. And we're going to be working on that today while we're here hanging out. So jump in, ask your questions. The more you ask me, the more I will answer. And if you get slow, I'm going to do some crocheting. All right. How do you plot out your books? I actually do not plot my books. I'm a plantser, so I'm right in between plotting and pantsing. I do know my big stepping stones. So I know my beginning, I know where it starts, and I know where the story is going to end, and some of the big important things that happen in the middle, and then I just figure out the little stepping stones as I go. So I'm kind of in the middle of it. I do not do a full plot out. I have done it before and I hate it, but that was me as a highly trained author. You guys know I can write a full-length novel in 9.5 days, start to finish, and send it to my editor with only a handful of typos. So I am very trained now, and so plotting my book just holds me back. It makes it much slower for me. But for the most part, I do encourage people to plot their books, especially if they're new writers, because otherwise you're going to be doing a ton of heavy lifting with your plot holes and your errors and things you have to fix. It's going to be a ton of heavy lifting on the back end. So I don't recommend doing that. I do recommend plotting if you are a beginner author. And then as you grow, you will not have to do it quite as much unless that is your strategy for this. If you've got questions, go ahead and drop them for me. This may not be my best plan today. I'm trying to crochet while we are doing things. And we are making sure that we've got all the cool stuff going on. There we go. And we're going to make sure we have those questions answered for you as we're checking out everything that's going on. I want to be a writer, but I don't know how to actually start since I'm still in school. Well, it's actually really easy to become an author. You just have to study the industry and write the book. It's not a ton of work. I do have a ton of resources over on my YouTube page, so you can actually go check out a lot of that over there. You just have to write your book, and then you have to self-edit your book, and then you have to decide if you're going indie or traditional, and then there's 2 very different paths for those. So if you're going traditional, you're going to have to find an agent, and you're only going to want to sign with the big houses, like the big 5 houses. If you do not sign with a big 5 house, it's not worth it in this industry. It's not even always worth it with a big 5 house unless you're their favorite, and they're throwing thousands of dollars of marketing your way. Otherwise, it's almost better in almost every case, not every case, but almost every case, to go indie. And so there's a lot of things that you can be learning and kind of figuring that out, but you just have to, study the industry and study what's going to work best for you and pick the path that's for you. So I've got a lot of resources over my YouTube page that you can check out. If you are worried because you're a minor, if that's what your hang up is, don't worry about that. All you have to deal with that is if you're going with a traditional contract, you just have to have your parents sign the contract because you're under 18. If you're going the indie route, they just have to give you permission and they might need to sign some paperwork for you. But other than that, it's really no big deal if you're young. We don't necessarily recommend you are a professional writer when you're young because you have so much to learn about writing. even people in their like late 20s and 30s, they're still learning a lot and getting into place with a lot of things. So it's not saying you can't, it's just saying that if you're young, you're going to need developmental edits and you're going to have to take extra steps to make sure your work has leveled up for all of these fun things. So lots of tutorials over on the YouTube page for that. Oh my goodness, Coral Koi is here. Hey girl, hey. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen this, but I was working on a project for my niece. She has discovered Moana and she loves Te Fiti. And so I made her a Te Fiti wig for Halloween. She's 2 years old, going on 3, and she just kind of looked at me with it. Like, she's very interested when I wear it, but she doesn't want to wear it. And so I just have this horrible feeling that if I claim this for myself, she's going to be like, yes, Auntie KM, I want one. And so I'm working on a backup while I'm answering questions today. But I felt like you of all people would appreciate my work here. Hello and welcome. If you're just jumping in, this is our Q&A, Ask Me Anything. I want to make sure that we're answering your questions, and there's so many things on my screen today. I don't know what TikTok is doing to update our live streams, but they've been giving us lots of things on the screen today. I want to ask you so many questions, but whenever you're live, I always forget what to ask. Make a list. Make a list of the questions. Anytime you have a question for me, you can either make a list and ask me on the live streams, or even better yet, drop them on any of my TikToks. It doesn't even have to be relevant to the TikTok that is posted. Just drop the question, and then I'll be able to answer it with a video. So anytime you have a question, please post it in some public way, and I will be happy to answer that for you. Do you have a favorite character that you've created? I have a couple favorites, and most of them are from my debut novels. You know, I claim 2 debut novels because they came out just a couple of days apart. And those are typically Dove Bear is my favorite from Golden and Ilaria. And then I love Jade from the Jade Duology. I love Jack Frost and Genesis from The Conspiracy of Jack Frost. And I adore Hansel and Annika from Sugarcoated, my Hansel and Gretel's Witch retelling. So those are probably my top favorites that I have written. Let's see. Thank you for the love for the wig. It was a lot of fun to create. I've done some like really fun things in the past, but when she was like obsessed with Te Fiti in the movie, I was like, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what to do. Nailed it. Nailed that, you guys. Let's see. All right. I feel like I missed some words here. Or some thoughts here. Keep asking the questions. I would love to get them answered for you so we can chat and do all the fun, fabulous things today. As always, this is our Q&A, Ask Me Anything Hangout session. If your friends are not here, and they should be here, invite your friends. Hit the share button because that tells TikTok we're doing something good, and they should be continuing to show this to other people. I'm going to reach down and touch my computer screen because I am recording this to then go over on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, I have been dropping brand new videos every single night over on my YouTube channel, and we have been doing some really cool things in my author vlogs that I'm going to speak about in a coded way because TikTok is up with the censoring of things recently. So if you're a fan of things like signed books and swag, you should probably watch these author vlogs because I'm doing cool things in which you could acquire said interesting swag. And not just from me, from a bunch of people. So that is my coded way of saying you should go watch those things and like all the stuff. Fun things. When doing a retelling, do you have to get permission of people who wrote the original characters? Okay, so here's the deal. If it is open source, then you're fine to use it. It has to be out of copyright. So there is a specific year, and any book or story written before that is available for you to use once it's out of that copyright period. If it is something that is copyrighted and it does fall under that law, then you cannot use it legally unless you pay to license it, and we're talking a ton of money. So you can use something like Goldilocks, because that started with oral tradition way back, like many years ago. If it started as an oral tradition, like before there was writing, you're safe. If it is something recent, like Harry Potter, you cannot use that. That's copyrighted, and you will get sued to the high heavens if you try to use it. This includes things like fan fiction. You cannot do it legally. So if you were paying attention to Netflix last year, they did Enola Holmes, which was a spin-off of Sherlock Holmes. And part of the Sherlock Holmes series is out of copyright, meaning you can legally use those characters and write your own versions of it. but not all the stories. And inside of that series, the earlier books, he was kind of Sherlock Holmes was kind of a cranky, not nice guy. He didn't get nice and have a personality until later in the series, and those were still protected by copyright. So the people from his estate sued Netflix because they used the nice version of him, and that was still protected. So you do have to make sure that any story that you're going to be using is going to be available for you to use. So things like Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen type stuff from back then, that's accessible to you, unless they somehow renew the copyright. But things other than that, like things that are maybe more recent, are not things that you are allowed to use. So let's just talk about something like Aladdin. So we know Aladdin from Disney, but Disney did not create Aladdin. Aladdin started as a much, much older story. And here's a fun fact about Aladdin. It's actually a Chinese story. He was a lazy boy who lived with his mother, and it was a Chinese story. And then eventually it was morphed into 1001 Arabian Nights, and it was transformed into that version. And then eventually Disney transformed it into their own version. So with something like Aladdin, you can use Aladdin. You can use the characters from the original Aladdin, but Princess Jasmine, that's a Disney character. So anything specific to Disney that was not from the originals, you cannot use. So you have to be very aware of that, and you have to make sure you're researching what year and the copyright is, because it changes every year. Because I don't actually remember, because I don't write recent things, but you know, you just have to check and make sure that the year is correct so that you're good to go with that and you're not having any issues. Is Jack and the Beanstalk copyrighted? That's a very, very old story, so you are actually good to use that one. But you always should look it up. Always double check and make sure that you are not getting in trouble for that one. But the old like nursery rhymes and legends and lore and things like that, all of those are very old. They started with those oral traditions back in the day, and there's many, many versions of it. So anything that was like Grimm Brothers or Perrault or any of those things, you are good to use. If you have questions, if you're just jumping in, hello and welcome. We are hanging out, we are answering your questions, and we are chatting all about what you want to know today. So anything within reason, I am happy to answer for you, as we are here creating a Te-Fiti hat because we can. And we want to make sure we get those questions answered, so go ahead and drop those down below. Let your friends know that we're here and we are hanging out so that we can keep going. Because if it slows down with the questions, I will pop off and I'll go do more work. I always like to jump on and to make sure we are answering your questions and to talk with you every single week. As always, we are here on Fridays to make sure that we are answering your questions in real time. We are also live on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern over on my Instagram page, and every single week we talk about a topic that is also an open Q&A on that topic. So if you've got questions related to the weekly topics, you can come on over and join us over there. Otherwise, you can join us here for our weekly Asking Anything that's open. You can ask any questions from the book world to personal life stuff, and I will be happy to answer anything within reason. And if you were on my Clubhouse earlier, we got really good with the personal stories today. And lots of fun things that we've been chatting about, and I have been telling you some fun stories. Speaking of which, if you are not over on my Instagram, you need to be. I have a brand new section on my Instagram called My Elites, and it's inside of my Instagram stories. So I have people who are my super fans, who are commenting on all of my photos and my videos and the things that I'm putting out there. They show up to my live streams. They're the ones that are really excited about my books and about hanging out with me. And I give them access to elite status. And it's totally available for anybody. There's not anything you have to do or like earn your way in or like your way in, again, being coded because of TikTok. You don't have to do any of that. It's totally gift to you. And I just tell you like personal life stuff. So I show you like extra photos of my dog, and I tell you about like the weird things going on in my life. And it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And it's over in my Instagram, and you just have to tell me you want to join the elites and that you are one of my super fans, and I'll let you in and I tell you about the weird things that have happened in my life this week. And boy, this week has been weird. So I've been dropping some fun stories inside of my elites the last couple of days, and I will continue to do so as well. So if you want exclusive extra bonus access to me, that's a great way to do it. What content do you think readers want to see from authors to build an audience? This is a question that we get asked a lot, and it's because people are very focused on what has worked in the past. The things that have worked in the past don't really necessarily work in the present or will work in the future. So we have to be very, very aware of adapting to these things. There was a time when a bonus scene was going to get people to join your newsletter. This is not true anymore. There was a time when giving away full free books was a great incentive to joining your newsletter. And it's just not true anymore. So there's a lot of things you have to be looking at and working on to build up your newsletter and your platform and to get people over to see what you are doing, and character art's going to be cool, and behind the scenes and live book readings and all these things. Those will draw people to you. But we do live in a time when people don't want to be marketed to. They don't want to be asked to buy things. And so we have to be very, very careful what we're doing, which is why it's incredibly helpful to build up a platform before you become an author and become an authority on the genre that you're going to be writing in. So I tell people this all the time. You are not building your author platform before you have a book. If you do, you're going to burn people out and nobody's coming near you because you're a wannabe author who's just trying to get in readers, and people can smell that from a mile away. If, however, you create a platform for community and conversation where you are speaking to a group of people who love the books that you're going to eventually write, this is going to be really, really good for building up community and conversation. So you are showing that you're an expert in your genre. So for me, back in my early days, I was focused specifically on sci-fi and specifically on retellings. So I could have built up a really strong platform where I was the go-to person for suggestions on sci-fi retellings. And we could have built up this really strong thing. Now, for me personally, I was already strongly working in the author community and helping them to build that up. So I already, when I became an author, I already had a very strong platform in another area that was adjacent to this. But if I didn't have that, I would have started with that person, or being that person who was the go-to for book recommendations in the area in which I would write, the dystopians, the sci-fi, the retellings. And I would have built up that community not with the intent of building up a fandom for myself, but with the intent of building up a community of like-minded people who could talk about books that we loved. And then, when it came to be my turn, I would say, okay guys, I've got another book recommendation for you. This time one's a little bit special, it's a little bit different. It's mine. I wrote it for you. I wrote it for you. And then if they wanted, they could follow me over to that journey. So the best thing that you can do as an aspiring author or even a new author is to build up a community around conversation about the topics you like to write about, so that you can form conversations with people and become a trusted source of information, so that when it's your turn, you can say, by the way, I've also got this if you want to come on the journey with me over here. Keep doing what you're doing over here because this is really good and really valuable. And also, if you're doing that well, it can lead to sponsorships and like a lot of great money for you, which, by the way, sponsorships will bring you in more money than your book's gonna make. And then you can transition them over to your author life as well if they want to come and join you for that, which means that you're not gonna be all scammy and sales pitchy on that, which I highly recommend. If you're just jumping in, hello and welcome to our Q&A Ask Me Anything. I'm crocheting while I'm answering your questions about the author world, my books, my characters. We can talk about fashion, we can talk about life stuff. This is your time. I show up every single week to answer your questions in real time without any expectations other than to help and to serve you. I will answer anything within reason, so start dropping those questions for me now. And I want to make sure that we are getting your questions answered. I'm just leaning forward so I can make sure I'm seeing everything properly, because I'm actually in a different setup than I usually am. Usually I sit over by my bookshelves across the room. I don't move my computer all the way over here, but I am across the office today so that I can sit here and crochet with you guys. We're actually, while we're doing this, we are creating another one of these babies. So we're working on the Tafiti wig while we're here hanging out, getting your questions answered, and I would love for you to keep dropping those questions for me. There we go, I got it. It didn't want to stay in place. The mannequin head that I have there is very lightweight styrofoam, and it just likes to tip over, so, you know. And because we're here and we're hanging out, and TikTok has given us some really cool new features, while I'm waiting for more questions to come in and talking a little bit about what we're doing today, I am just going to, and I'm explaining this for the replay people, I'm going to swipe this out because I want to see what's happening here. Ooh, that's cool, the real-time performance. It's telling me all the things. That's cool. That's really cool. Okay, TikTok, we're leveling up. Y'all, if you follow me outside of my author life, you know I'm a professional social media strategist. So I actually teach people how to build their businesses on social media professionally. And I travel around the country and I speak at conventions and like all the cool things. And with that, I have been teaching a lot this week on the new Instagram updates and apparently the new TikTok updates. So I'm just very excited for all of these things, and I'm pretty jazzed that we have new analytics for our TikTok live streams. It's really nice. If you've got questions, I want to make sure I get those answered for you. So go ahead and drop any question within reason. I will answer that for you as we're here hanging out. They can be about my books, my characters, my author life, the thing I'm crocheting, like all the good things. If your friends are not here, and they should be here, make sure you hit that button and share this with them so that they can come join us for the fun. I am currently creating a backup Tafiti wig because my 2-year-old niece has taken a liking to Moana this week, and I guess last week. And I wanted to make her a costume for Halloween. And then when I showed it to her, she just kind of eyed it on me. She's very curious when I wear the Tafiti wig, but she doesn't want to wear it. That's a hard no from her. And so I just have this feeling that the little cupcake might change her mind. And because she said no to this one, I kind of claimed it for myself. So I want to make sure I have a backup, just in case, you know. Moana is a fun story, isn't it? And so we were talking about retellings earlier and what is and is not okay to retell without buying a license for it. Moana is actually partially a retelling of Maui's story. And so Maui, because it is that legend, that lore, that folklore from back in the day, the mythology side of things, that is available to use for retellings. But when it comes to certain things, especially with potential religious affiliations, you got to make sure you're really, really careful to not do it improperly, because that could end up ruining careers. So just be careful if you're doing something like that. Hello and welcome. If you're just jumping in, I'm multi-time best-selling author K.M. Robinson. I have had the number 7, 74, and 87 best-selling book on Amazon out of every book in existence. And I am answering your questions today for our weekly Q&A Ask Me Anything Hangout session. TikTok has been terrible about telling people that we are live, so we want to make sure you're inviting your friends to the party. And you can drop any questions you have for me down in the chat box below. We are answering anything within reason today, and I am sitting here answering questions as I am crocheting a Tafiti wig for my 2-year-old niece. I crocheted her one on the live streams last week, and she kind of eyes me when I wear it because she thinks it's cool, but she doesn't want to wear it. And I just have this feeling if I don't make a backup, she's going to be like, let me rip this to shreds the next time she sees it. Because, you know, little kids, sometimes they tug on things. So I am making a backup while we're here hanging out. And also it's kind of fun to watch, right? So we're just making the little hat part, and then we'll add the hair on later. Do I have a process for beta screening? It's really important to make sure you are working with people that you know and trust, if possible. If you do not know the people who are going to be beta reading for you, it's usually a good idea to make sure you are working with other people on your level. So not just readers. Readers usually are not qualified to do beta reading or to do proofreading, even if they're really good at grammar. Like, they just don't know the ins and outs of the grammar world or the story world, the world building world, like all of these things. Even the most well-read people don't have the training necessary to do this effectively. So you need to be looking for somebody on your level. If you are a brand new aspiring author, you should be working with other aspiring authors. If you are an established author and you're using beta readers, you should be using other established authors on your level. Y'all need to work with people who get the part of your world that you are in. So you want to make sure that they know what's going on and how to best help you. And just lay people will not be able to get that. So it's important to make sure that you are finding other people who are doing the thing that you're doing on the level that you are doing it, and then swap. This is not something that should just be benefiting one person. So you've written a story, they have written a story. You read theirs, they read yours. And if you still have to make sure that it's going to be a good fit first, the best thing that I can tell you to do is to do like a chapter or 2 chapters and send it to them and do a test. Make sure your expectations are clear. This is what I need back from you, and this is the way that I need it back from you, and they need to tell you the same. You can then do the first chapter or the first 2 chapters, or maybe even the first 3 chapters. What I would recommend is send them a chapter, see how it goes. If it goes okay, give them the next 2 chapters, so that's a total of 3 chapters, and then if that goes well, then swap the entire book. But you're just sending it to them, you're doing their work, and you're going to be leaving all the notes that you need. Then you're going to read through their notes and make sure that you like their style, that they are doing what you need them to do, that they're calling you on your nonsense that you've written, because it always happens that way. And you want to make sure that everything is going to work properly. And it's best to have several beta readers, because if you just have one person, they could say, oh, I don't like this, or this doesn't work, or this doesn't feel right. And that could just be a personal opinion. But if you have 3 beta readers and 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 say the same thing, whether or not you agree with it, there could be something there and you need to look at it intentionally. So it's always wise to have multiple beta readers, especially when you're new. And it doesn't hurt to do trials with them. So the first chapter, the first 3 chapters, whatever. And then if it just doesn't work out, move on and find somebody else. Or at the end of the book, when you get to that point, if it just didn't work well for you, it's okay to find new ones for the next book. Hello and welcome if you're here hanging out. This is our Q&A Ask Me Anything hangout session. We're answering your questions in real time as we are here hanging out, just like we do every single Friday. I am crocheting while we're doing this because Halloween is coming and I'm making costumes for people. So hi, welcome. Go ahead and drop your questions down below. I want to make sure that we're getting your questions answered. They can be about the book world, they can be about my books, my characters, or it could be about like personalized stuff. Feel free, ask questions. Anything within reason, I'm good for. And as always, we have to pause for a moment so that I can hold up all the books and be like, look, I'm a multi-time best-selling author, and I've written over 24 published best-selling books that are still on lists to this day, and like all the good things. So I have the knowledge, I have the experience, and when I tell you something, you can trust my information. So go ahead, ask your questions. Awesome, thanks. That seems more manageable and it's very helpful. Good, I'm glad. If you need to find people, social media is a great place to find people to beta read with. Again, look for people on your level. You do not want people lower than you. Those people cannot help you and lift you up. And you cannot shoot too high because those people are busy and they don't have time for a newbie. So you have to find somebody on your level so that you can rise together. Social media, it's a great place to find these people. And I highly recommend like checking those things out and learning all the things. And another thing I should point out is have other people check your work after your beta readers do, because I have had new authors, aspiring authors, get together in groups to do this kind of thing, and one person will say, oh, well, this is the grammar rule, and everybody will get it wrong. And then for years after the fact, they'll still get it wrong. I once did an anthology where one of the girls in their group said, this is how this works. And it took weeks for me and for the professional editor and for all the other people to fix all the egregious errors that they had created because one person in their group messed it up and misinformed everybody. And to this day, I am told that those people are still getting those things wrong in their books. So be careful and double check on some of those grammar rules. It's very important. Very important. Where do you start with a newsletter, specifically who to send it to? There are legal rules about newsletters. I teach on this professionally. I have had many, many lawyers teach on my platform, and I've educated and sent you 2 lawyers for this one. So here's what you need to know. Always make sure you have the legal side of things. So if you need the legal content, the legal information, please come DM me. I will send you to all of my free resources on this and send you to the correct people. There are new laws, and when I say new laws, I mean these popped up like 2 years ago from the European Union that screwed us all over. And then there are just general laws, and there are laws specific to California that anybody in the United States has to obey. So it's always a good idea to work with a newsletter service provider like ConvertKit. They're the ones that I work with. They're the ones that I recommend, and I think I can get you a free trial or something like that. I got things. So I can connect you to the programs. There are multiple things that you can be using. You will have to pay for some of these. You just have to. It's the way that it goes these days. Do not send it out on your own. Don't send it from your Gmail account. Do not send it from a Gmail account or your personal account. You can get sued. It's bad. You do have to have like an address listed with it, and the email service providers actually make you fill out the information so that it goes out properly. Disclaimers, like there's information, there's an unsubscribe button. things you legally have to have. You are not allowed to manually add anybody to your list. They have to opt into your list. They have to give you permission. So if you just randomly add people to a list, you can get sued big time. It's a bad thing. So don't ever add anybody to your list that has not opted in, signed up for it, or given you permission to use their email on it. So if you're collecting it at a book signing and they're writing it, they've given you permission. But if you just like look at some cool authors and you're like, oh, I should put them on my list. No. That's a no. So with newsletters, you want to make sure that you are building up a newsletter. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. So you want to have what we call a lead magnet. That's something that will convince people to opt in. But with the new rules from the European Union, thank you, you can't make it mandatory. You have to give things away for free without requiring them to opt in. There's a whole lot of information with it and laws and like all the stuff. So please reach out to me. I can get you that information so that you can get this correct. But basically, it boils down to like basic stuff. You can't add anybody to your list without their consent, express consent. You cannot force them to join your newsletter to get something for free. If they want the free thing, they can get the free thing without opting in. And all of the email service providers now have these GDPR things built in so that you are protected and you're safe. But you just have to be careful because there's certain things like you can't say or you can't send out and like stuff. So make sure you're just taking care of that. And then you just want to give really good high quality newsletter content. Tell them behind the scenes. Don't make it a sales pitch. You should not ever, and this is the biggest problem I see with most authors, they just say, buy my book, buy my book, buy my friend's book, buy this person's book, I'm doing a newsletter swap. Like, don't do that crap. Don't do that. Be the person who gives behind the scenes. Live book readings, links to your YouTube page, content that you're putting out there, photos, behind the scenes stories. Like, give them really good stuff and build it up that way. But don't just be like a sales pitch. Like, here's 6 books that you can buy this week. Nobody likes that. All right. So make sure that you are taking care when you are doing newsletters. It's really important to make sure you're doing that correct and legally and like all the things. So please come see me on that if you need that. I do have tons and tons of resources on that because I teach on it professionally. All right, if you got questions, now's the time. Go ahead and drop those questions down below. I would love to get them answered for you. You're loving the outfit? Thank you! This is from Walmart. I just got this the other day and it's super cute. It's the waffle fabric and it's really comfy and it's like slouchy. It's got a little tie in the front, so you can either zip it up and make it like tight or you can make it loose. And then I just put the hat on with it. So it's really cute and it matches my nails this week because I tried to be fancy with my nails. So I did, there we go. I did an accent color, so it's a light pink and then the dark pink. And then I did, which way? There we go. I did the little slash across my finger, which I thought looked so cool, and I was like really proud of myself until the next day when I like out of the corner of my eye I saw my nail. I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding. No, I'm not. I didn't rip off my nail. It's just how I designed it. It's just the colors. I don't ever wear pink, but I saw these two in the store the other day. They're SE Expressi, the fast drying ones, and I was like, that would look pretty together. Maybe I will wear pink. This is what we got. Hey, hello, and welcome if you're just jumping in. This is the Q&A Ask Me Anything Hangout session. I'm a multi-time best-selling author, fiction author, YA, sci-fi, fantasy, dystopians, retellings, romance, all the good, fabulous, wonderful things, and I'm answering your questions here today as we are hanging out. Welcome to each and every one of you. Let me know your questions down below. You can talk about my books, my characters, the publishing industry, writing tips, or we can talk about things like fashion and favorite colors and weekend plans. This is your time. I am here to answer your questions, and that is the only reason that I show up today every single Friday is to answer your questions without any other agenda other than to hang out and make sure we are responding to you and getting your questions answered. So now's your time to hang out with me. If you are just jumping on, while I'm answering questions, I am crocheting because my 2-year-old niece has fallen in love with Moana. And I made her a Te-Fiti costume this week. Again, it moved. There we I made her a Te-Fiti costume this week, and she's interested in it when I put it on, but I just have this feeling that even though she has told me she does not want to wear it, come Halloween time, she's going to be like, Auntie KM, I will wear that. And then I'll be like, oh, well, I was going to wear it to my live stream show. So I'm making a backup. So I'm just, I'm working on that while we're here hanging out today. I have to uncross my legs. I was sitting with my legs crossed and I'm starting to lose feeling in them. All right. When you started writing, what was the hardest part? Sorry, I definitely need some water. Hang on. I think I am having a slight allergic reaction to this shirt. I told you guys I just got this. And I washed it, but you guys know I'm highly sensitive to scents. And so sometimes it takes 4 or 5 washings before I'm not allergic to things anymore. And so I think I'm suffering. That's all. That's all that is. Hardest part about writing when I started, I didn't tell anybody. This was a top secret thing. So I would like work and do all the things. I didn't start until I was an adult. I had a job, like I was busy all the time. And so I was writing at like 11 o'clock at night, hiding it from everybody and like not telling anybody. And I had no intention of becoming a professional author. I was just writing for myself because I wanted to read a book and I couldn't find one that matched. And I ended up writing like 2 or 3 books. And I'm like, at this point, if I'm spending this much time on it, I need to do this professionally and make money on it. I had multiple book contracts offered to me. I turned them all down because I didn't like the terms and waited a full year before I found the right fit. So for me, the hardest part of writing was probably keeping it quiet from everyone. I did not tell anybody. Nobody knew about it for a long time. Nobody knew about it. And then even when I did get to the point of publication, it was after I published my book, my little sister, I told my immediate family, but I didn't tell anybody else. My little sister was so excited and didn't realize I was keeping it quite as big of a secret as I was. She ratted me out and she told everyone on Facebook how proud she was of me of my debut novel, and then I had to fess up and tell everybody. But it was supposed to be something that no one ever knew. So there's that. If you have questions, now's a great time to drop those for me. I would love to get them answered for you as I am trying to stop my legs from falling asleep and adjusting how I'm sitting on this chair. Oh, I tried so hard not to kick my tripod. Sorry, y'all. Ask your questions. Now's your time. This is like your time to hang out. I don't even know. Oh, we've been here for a while. Nice. Not bad. Go ahead and ask me your questions. This is not normally where I sit to do these live streams, so I usually have access to like the clock and I know what's going on and all the things. Not so much today because I'm over here crocheting and I wanted to make sure you could see what I was doing, so I'm in a different location today. But you know, whatevs. I'm currently editing my novel. Should I send it to a professional editor before pushing to agents? So if your goal is to go traditional, here's what you need to know. If you are a new author and you need developmental edits, developmental means like plot help, structural help. If you want to make it a stronger story, you absolutely can send it to a developmental editor. These are different than line editors. Line editors do typos and grammar. You don't need that before sending it to an agent. Your agent's job is to help you fix it. If you are a weaker writer, or if you want to make sure your writing is strong enough, or if you want to make sure you have a real edge, you can absolutely send it to a developmental editor, but that is not required. It can definitely give you an edge. It can 100% help, but it does not mean it is necessary for you to do. If you are new to this, something you could consider, but it is something that's going to be out of your pocket and it will not be reimbursed to you later on. So if you want to make that monetary investment and you feel like it's going to make your writing stronger, go for it. It can only help, but it does not mean that you have to. And then once you get an agent, they're going to go through it and they will do developmental work with you. They will make you change things. You will absolutely have to change things in your novel for your agent. And then if you are picked up by a traditional publishing house, then they will probably make you do more developmental edits and make you change things about your storyline, characters, all of those things. And then they'll send you through the line editing where they clean up your grammar and your typos and all of that stuff. So you certainly can. It can certainly help you to get stronger with your writing, and they can point out areas that you don't need or things that you need to do better and all of those things, but you do not have to. It is not required of you, and it is something you're going to go through if you are picked up by an agent and if you are picked up by a traditional publishing house. If you do want to go the traditional route and agents will not offer you a contract, that could mean one of two things. Either the writing is bad and you should get a developmental editor, or it's not right for right now, and you may need to set that project aside and work on something else in order to get an agent if you want to go the traditional route. But I do have lots of videos on my YouTube about picking between indie and traditional. If you are going traditional, you want to make sure you have a really good agent who already has really big name connections with the big 5 publishing houses. You do not want to sign with a small, a medium, or a large publishing house, only with the big ones, and you want to be their favorite, because if they're not spending thousands of dollars marketing you, it is not worth it to sign with them these days. So be exceptionally careful. Make sure you have a publishing lawyer to go over your contracts and all of those things to make sure you're protected and to make sure you're going to do well and to make sure you're going to make money off it, because even with a traditional publisher, you're doing 90% of the work and the marketing. And after your book is out in the world, they're not promoting you anymore. Sorry, baby. They have other books to do, which means you have to spend the rest of your 5-year contract doing the work yourself if you want to make any money or get any recognition. It's a lot of work. So take all of that into consideration before you jump into the world of publishing, no matter what realm you want to be working in. We're going to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes, because whatever scent is on this shirt, despite having lost it, is killing me. And so we're going to say goodbye in a few minutes. But if you've got any last minute questions, now is the final call. Go ahead and drop those questions down below. And if you're just jumping in, hi, welcome. I'm suffering an allergic reaction and answering questions. I am K.M. Robinson, multi-time best-selling author with well over 24 best-selling novels. I've had the number 774 and 87 best-selling book on Amazon out of every book in existence. All of my books have been number 1 in their categories, and most of them remain on lists to this day. And while we're here answering your questions, bookish, publishing, writing related, or life plans, or fashion, or favorite colors, or whatever, I am crocheting. You can kind of see part of that down below. We're making a Tefiti hat from Moana for my niece for Halloween. And I'm making a backup because she's 2 and I just foresee things going badly. So we're making a backup. Stay put. That was really difficult. Ooh, sorry guys, I am struggling. With the scent here. The reaction is not going well for me. If you have any final questions, though, now is the time. Go ahead and drop those down below. As always, remember, we are here every single Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern answering your questions live in real time. Every Tuesday on Instagram at 3 p.m. Eastern, talking about a bookish topic, and we're taking questions on those topics every single week. I'm dropping brand new videos on my YouTube channel every single night related to the publishing industry, writing help, my books, behind the scenes of my books, live book readings. We do author fashion and author lifestyle things, author vlogs, and more, so that you can see the behind the scenes of author life in real time. I've got tons and tons of resources on all areas of the publishing industry available for you on all of my platforms, and some really cool things over on my website, which, by the way, I'm doing a makeover on, and I've got some cool stuff coming out for you in the not too distant future. So big things are coming, big things are happening, and we are getting your questions answered in real time while we're here hanging out. You are most welcome for the advice, my dear. I really appreciate all the great questions today. Gail, thank you so much for reaching out and for hanging out with me today. We're going to wrap this baby up because I'm suffering with the allergies right now. But I appreciate you all hanging out with me, and we will do it again next week. As always, here on our TikTok. If you've not followed, make sure you do follow. And please go leave some comments on my most recent TikToks, because TikTok has been kind of mean recently, and they're not really showing my content to too many of you because I'm not getting a bunch of comments. So leave me some comment love, and if you got more questions, drop them on any of my TikToks. I will happily create a video response for you. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and stay inspired. I'll see you next week.